Coldest in my city, and it's like that.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Osh from the Ghost, back with another one and another episode of Osh Knows. Today, we're going to be talking about YouTube. This is where a lot of us consume a lot of our good and bad entertainment, education, misinformation, conspiracy theories, shows, movies, just whatever. A lot of us absorb our entertainment now through YouTube. So that's what I wanted to talk about, because I am definitely a YouTuber. I am definitely on YouTube, watching it almost all day, every day. It's like my main way that I take things in is through YouTube. So today I wanted to go over some of my favorite channels, some of my not so favorite channels, but I still watch them just because sometimes the guests or the info that they have on them, or certain guests that are on shows that I watch them every single time, no matter what channel they're on, I still watch them. So today we're going to go through some of that. So buckle up and let's go. So at my number 5 spot of favorite channels, I got Colin Cowherd's podcast. It's a good one. He always does it at night after NFL. You know, he'll do instant reactions, NFL. Sometimes he'll do it after NBA. But Colin has always been one of my favorite sports commentators, just because he's mostly unbiased. I'll say it that way. He, he has a segment that's called When Colin's Wrong and When Colin's Right on his TV show. But I've always liked that about him. He holds himself accountable. He's not like Stephen A. or Skip, where they'll just, keep beating a dead horse. They'll be completely wrong and they'll just keep riding with it. And so that's why Colin's always been one of my favorites. So his podcast is one of my favorites. I've always liked Colin Cowherd. So his podcast is one that I always check out when I see it. Now he gets to tie with Pat McAfee. The Pat McAfee Show, I love it. They both get tied for the number 5 spot. Pat McAfee, he is extremely charismatic, has an amazing personality, extremely knowledgeable about football. He watches a lot of other sports. I know he's always talking about professional wrestling, which I don't really watch, but he's very passionate about it. He's someone who could get you to get into things that you've never wanted to be interested in. I know he likes soccer. He does the College Game Day show for college football. They stay locked in with the March Madness and all that stuff. So I heavily watch Pat McAfee for my sports info. I like all the personalities, all his co-hosts. They're all good co-hosts. They all got good personalities. So what they bring to the table as a team is always makes it a really good show. It's very enjoyable. They got AJ Hawk on there. They got a lot of ex-NFL players. D. Butler. They have Aaron Rodgers on there very often. I know he's going through a lot of controversy, so it's always good to go there to get the first thing, from the horse's mouth from Aaron Rodgers, always after a game day. So I really love them. So Colin Cowherd / Pat McAfee Show, tied for my number 5 favorite YouTube channel. For my number 4 favorite YouTube channel, it's not really a channel. It's this man. He has many channels. Simon Whistler. He's the host of Biographics and Geographics and lots of other. They got Top Tens, Mega Structures. He has a lot of channels, but I like it because it's more on the educational side. It's not a lot of drama. A lot of YouTube is a lot of drama. The algorithms, how they work. They feed us the crap. They want us to stay, pumped up and upset about something. But I like Simon Whistler. He's a British dude. He's a fellow Baldy like me. So I really like the guy. He's very smart. I like how he relays his info. He's very sarcastic, but in an educational way, and it makes it kind of funny on his delivery. So I really like him. He has a lot of good channels, teach about history, the history of places and people. I watched Rasputin, Ulysses S. Grant. I mean, you could watch Benjamin Franklin. Pretty much anybody through history. They even have April Fool's episodes, which are pretty cool. They do them on fictional characters. Those are pretty cool. But I really like Simon Whistler. Super cool host for a lot of really cool channels. So go check him out. All right, for number 3, I got Julian Dorsey. So I have no idea where this dude came from, how he got so big on YouTube, and how he gets the guests that he gets. But holy crap, he's seems very humble, yet very intelligent, but not a know-it-all, which a lot of us, especially on YouTube, struggle with. We all feel like we know it all. Look at the name of my show, Osh Knows, right? So I really like Julian Dorsey. Again, I have no idea this dude's backstory. I've never heard it. I've never heard. I just one day I fell onto his channel because of a guest that he had. I don't know who it even was. Maybe Andrew Bustamante or someone. But he brings good shows. He's very knowledgeable about a lot of things. He's similar to Joe Rogan. Very similar to Joe Rogan, minus the political biases, if that's the right way to say it now. I feel like Rogan's switched it up versus what he used to be. He's a little bit more biased than he used to be. But I like Julian Dorsey for that reason. He seems very unbiased. I like that. So, if it's a political topic, he'll play devil's advocate. He's not gonna coattail, hoorah, yes man, somebody just because they're on a show, and I really like that. So, and when he's wrong, he's wrong. He'll say he's wrong. And I like that about him too. So Julian Dorsey, wherever you came from, dude, I like your channel. I watch it a lot. I learn a lot from it. I enjoy your guests. So salute to you at my number 3 spot. At my number 2 spot, we got Trap Lore Ross. Now, very controversial figure in, I guess, hip hop media. He does a lot of documentaries, a lot of very long, lengthy, in-depth documentaries on mainly drill rappers. He started, when he first started, it was a different direction, but where it kind of ended up now, he's making a lot of money. He's getting the real in-depth stuff. He's actually meeting these people or having one-on-one interactions with them, through Messenger or otherwise. According to him, through all of his interviews and stuff, he's been on Vlad. He's been on what was the other one? Was it Cam Capone? Can't remember if it was, but anyway, he's another English dude. He just really fell in love with the hip hop culture, and then somehow through like Reddits and Twitter and social media, he researches all these topics, and he did the documentary about King Von, hip hop's first serial killer or something like that. He's done them on NBA YoungBoy, through all the stuff that he's supposedly done. Now through all this Lil Durk stuff, he's already kind of ahead of the game with all the stuff that he's covered with all the people in the backstories, but he covers a lot of mainly Chicago gang stuff, because they got a lot of really, interesting, I'm not going to shine a positive light on any of the bad stuff, but those people who come from those environments, they have interesting stories and they deserve for them to be heard. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to say necessarily that Trap Lore Ross is doing it in a way that a lot of people approve of, but as far as the average YouTube consumer, it's one of the best channels to get filled in that realm. He's covered the Florida drill scene and the Chicago drill scene and some of the Atlanta trap scene, and now he's moved over to the West Coast and he's trying to get all these interviews with the OG Crips and Bloods, the triple OGs, the dudes who started all that shit back in the day, and he's trying to get his facts straight, from the horse's mouth. So shout out Trap Lore Ross at my number 2 spot. Now at number 1, it's another shared spot because these two people have multiple channels actually. Both the people got 2, maybe 3 channels. But they're 2 people that I watch very often. I enjoy their personalities, the way they present their info, and just the way they relay it. You know what I mean? They're extremely knowledgeable, but they're both different, right? So for the first person tied at my number 1 spot is Dubs, and he has 2 channels, Dubs and Dubs S, I believe. Could be wrong. I'll post the links. But Dubs, he's the first time I watched one of his episodes. I don't remember what it was about, but the thing that I do remember about Dubs is his delivery. Even thinking about Dubs, I slowed down because he thinks about everything that he says before he says it. And so me talking about him, I don't want to misrepresent the way that the man does his thing, and I'm not going to represent anything about the man. He's on YouTube. You could go check him out. But I respect the man. I really like his channel. The way he relays information, that's the way I'm going to say it. I like the way he relays information. Like I said, he's very patient and he thinks about stuff, but also on his bullshit, he'll call you on it. And I think through working with another YouTuber, his personality's got a little bit more bravado and charisma in his episodes. You know what I mean? So uh, shout out to Dubs, tied for my number one spot. Now he's tied with his homie Gunners from Gunners Collective. So I found Gunners actually through Dubs. I was watching Dubs first, and the algorithm did its thing, and somehow Gunners popped up. And because I was kind of watching similar things through Dubs, I started watching Gunners, and Gunners is way more, charismatic. The dude's very witty. The way he says shit, he's always rhyming shit. You know what I mean? He's like, if you ever been around, just like a group of straight Mexicans, Latinos, Chicanos, here in America, in big cities mainly, the people I've experienced mainly, like Denver, Arizona. I've only been to California a couple times, you know what I mean? But it's basically the same steez. It's not exactly the same. So, don't get mad at me, California people. I know they're different than Arizona people and Colorado people, but we're all Mexicans. We're all brown skinned people. And to some degree, we're similar. Uh, I talk different than a lot of Chicano people, but I grew up in Wyoming. I'm Native American and I'm Mexican, so the way I grew up is a little bit different than someone from a big city with a mainly predominant, Mexican population. So, shout out to them. That's my people, uh, Nawa represent, you know what I mean? I'm Eastern Shoshone. It comes from the same linguistic tree. We're all the same people. So shout out to all them. But so Gunners Collective, I love his channel. He gets a lot of flack sometimes. He's been in a lot of, stuff with other YouTubers who are in the same, I hate to say prison genre and box them in like that, but that's, what they're seen as kinda. But um he's got into it with a few other channels, and he's cool with a few other people who run a few other channels, Dubs mainly and other people through them. And so a lot of the prison genre stuff that I've found has been mainly through Dubs and Gunners, and similar things. There's other things out there, Renegade Media, Paradigm Media, which I'll watch those sometimes, but it's just the delivery, you know what I mean? And nothing against those guys, but it's the delivery of the info that makes me like Dubs and Gunners more. So that's that. That's my top 5 YouTube channels. Go check them out if you've been looking for something. It's everything from sports to education to the deep interviews with the government stuff to the hip hop, drill and trap scenes to the prison stuff, you know what I mean? So, and mainly California prison stuff, you know what I mean? Because they don't speak outside of prison stuff, Gunners, I think he said he did time in Oregon, so he talks about that sometimes, but mainly they keep it to California politics. So, go check those out if you haven't. Next, some more YouTube stuff that I want to cover. Here's some hosts that maybe I don't like the direction they've taken since all this political stuff's come up, but maybe I enjoy some of the guests that they have or the topics sometimes, so I still check in on them sometimes. But uh, first, we'll start with Joe Rogan. I used to love that Joe Rogan was extremely politically unbiased. He called all politicians on their bullshit, from both parties, which I loved it because I don't ride with left or right, no Republican or Democrat over here. We don't do that over here. I'm Native American. We don't play that. So anyway, that being said, I used to love the direction that Joe Rogan did. The guests he had always were awesome, whether they were comedy or educational, or just for entertainment. Loved it. Lately, not so much, but I still check in every once in a while. So there's that. Next, DJ Vlad. Uh, mainly, I don't. Mainly when I watch Vlad, I watch for his guests. That's the way I'll say that. Vlad has a format, an interviewing format, and if you watch his interviews enough over the years, you kind of, well, I want to start from the top and get to know you and where you're from and then maybe 2, 3 questions later, if they're from a major city and have any memory of the 80s, it's like 2, 3 questions later. So what was your city like once crack cocaine hit? Every time after a minute, I just kind of got over it. It's like, damn, come on, bro. Or he'll he's the one who beats a dead horse very often to make a point. Um, he'll talk over guests. And he didn't used to do that. It's more of a newer thing. So like I said, mainly I watch him depending on who's on the show. If I want to hear their story bad enough, because it's 50-50 anymore. Vlad and the other person talking versus the other person telling their story. Vlad's talking almost half the time now too. So I don't watch as much anymore. So there's that. Another one, Valuetainment. Used to love Valuetainment until this last election season. He got like crazy political, and now that's pretty much all of his shows are about. Really good channel. He's done a lot of really good interviews, a lot of really big interviews. He's very intelligent, very well spoken. But I just don't like the political rah rah. So I kind of don't really, depending on the guest, I don't really check him no more. So next one, he's very controversial, and don't take this as I'm a fan of this man as a human being or what he's done. Mainly it's because the way he tells his stories and the stories he has to tell are very interesting. So I'm going to say that's why I watch. Sammy the Bull on his channel. He hasn't been putting out a lot. I don't know why or anything like that lately, but when he first started, he was knocking episodes out and it was story, 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 story. But I liked it. The stories, he's a super scumbag, murdered lots of people, fucking told on everybody else that he didn't kill, and fucking, I don't condone any of that. And then not even that I don't know if I've ever seen him show genuine remorse on his show. Maybe he has it, maybe I misread it, but it just never it feels like he's always braggadocious about every bad thing he's ever done. So, but good stories. So, Sammy the Bull, he's got his own channel. Lots of good stories. I'll say that. Now, last, guests that I'll watch no matter what podcast they're on. Number one, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Love the dude. I've read 2 of his books. He is another one of those dudes that's very articulate, presents things in a way that makes you want to learn, you know what I mean? So I've always loved that. I first seen him on Cosmos. I love Cosmos so much. It was back on like DirecTV, like in 2013, 14, 15, somewhere in there. And I loved it so much when I couldn't find it no more, I bought it on YouTube. Watch it all the time, showed my kids it. I love the Cosmos, love his books. Neil deGrasse Tyson, we'll watch him no matter whose show he's on. Next, Peyton Manning. He's my other favorite guest, no matter whose show he's on. He's very funny, very witty, halfway serious, but halfway jokey at the same time, on top of being an all-time great Denver Bronco. He won a Super Bowl for us. He gave me lots of good memories. I love Peyton Manning. I love watching him on anything he's on. Love you, Peyton. Next, Boosie. Love Boosie. I've been a fan of Boosie's music since I was a teenager. He's very interesting dude. He says a lot of off the wall shit sometimes. But I feel like he is who he is in his heart. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting no added preservatives from Boosie. He really is that dude. Whoever he is at that moment in time that you're seeing him, that's who Boosie is. And that's one thing that I've always loved about Boosie. And so anytime he's on anybody's platform, I'll watch that shit. Love Boosie. And last, this is where I'm gonna take it today. We're gonna end it right here on this man right here, Bill Burr. I will watch Bill Burr on anything he's on. He's kind of an asshole, but kind of a sweetheart at the same time. But if if he's being interviewed or whatever, he's got that super sarcastic sides where he's gonna fucking rip you apart. He's pretty smart too, you know what I mean? So I love watching Bill Burr, anything that he's on, whether it's one of his specials, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a morning show, whether it's a TV show. He was on The Mandalorian. He was on Breaking Bad. He's in lots of movies. You know what I mean? So I love Bill Burr. I watch that dude and everything he's in, especially on YouTube. So that's all we got for today. Check with me again. Another episode of Osh Knows. Osh out.